Now it is my pleasure to introduce a member of my club. This is a presentation on the White Pony Express, a van that Loma Sunrise and many other partners raise funds for. So please welcome from the Rotary Club of Loma Sunrise, Fred Stambaugh.
Good morning. Thank you, Mark, for the introduction. And thank you to the district for allowing me to spend a few moments talking about this project of ours. This is really a great story of cooperation among district clubs. So let me just jump right into it. We have been acquainted in our club with the White Pony Express for some time. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, I'll just very briefly, Heather, if we can go to the next screen and the next slide. The White Pony Express is volunteer-powered organization. They have hundreds of volunteers, and their main mission is to use the volunteer power to share abundance in our county. One of the major areas of what they do is food distribution. So they have a fleet of vehicles that rescue on a daily basis, 7 days a week, up to 15,000 pounds of fresh food from grocers and markets who need to take these foods off their shelves, either for regulatory reasons or because new stock has come in. But this food is still very good, high quality, and it's destined for landfills. And when it goes into landfills, it rots and produces methane gas and other greenhouse gases, which is bad for the environment. And it's just a lousy thing to do with food that's otherwise quite edible and high quality. So the White Pony Express goes from food provider to food provider, markets, grocers, restaurants, rescues this food, which is the term that they use, and they take it back to their distribution center, where they have an army of volunteers that sort this food and puts it back into bins and goes back out on its fleet of trucks to up to 80 organizations that will take the food and pass it on to needy people in the county. And you can see down in the lower left of this picture, Rotary is quite heavily involved in being part of that volunteer army. So this is an amazing organization. I mean, the greenhouse gas prevention alone is probably worth the effort, but it's dwarfed by the value of all this high quality food going out to needy people throughout the county. Next slide, please. And as we got familiar and got closer to White Pony Express, one of the things that we said is, what further can we do to help? And the first thing they came back with is that we could expand our operations much more with a new refrigerated van. And we thought, well, gosh, that's something we can probably contribute to. And as we started to spec out the project, we realized it was a pretty big ask because this van, as they spec'd it out, would be worth something like, or cost something like $70,000, because it's not just a truck. It's a heavy duty truck with the shocks and the transmission and all the other stuff that enables it to work on the streets 7 days a week with 2 weeks a year for maintenance, but out all the time. And it's got a refrigeration unit that costs another $20,000. It's a big ask. It started out with a price tag of about $70,000. But because of scarcity of resources and general inflation and supply chain issues, the price tag ended up being something like $90,000. Things just weren't available. We had to get what we could. So Heather, can we go to the next slide? But we met this price with help from a lot of District 5160 clubs, 14 district clubs, and you can see the list there, all the way from Brentwood in the east to Hercules in the west. And everybody on this list contributed sizable funds to help us meet that. The participation of all these district clubs also enabled us to qualify for a Rotary district grant. And that was a huge help to getting us across the finish line. And then when we saw the prices accelerate beyond what our anticipation was, we enlisted the support of other community organizations. Lafayette Orinda Presbyterian Church was a huge help. St. Paul's Episcopal Church, Mechanics Bank, you can see it there. We raised a considerable amount of money from family foundations we were put in touch with, fundraising by individuals. We had a Facebook account that helped us raise funds. We did some fundraising within our club, and it all came together and we reached the amount of money we needed. The van itself, as you see on the left, is right now being wrapped with all these logos and information. And on the door, you can barely see it in this video or in this slide, but on the door on both sides and also on the rear bumper, there is an indicator that says provided for with Rotary funds. So it gives us a pitch as well when people see this truck on the street. So the wrapping, the logo decoration is in process, and we anticipate that this truck is going to be on the street and in service within a week or perhaps two. So within a year, we were able to raise all this money, get this truck purchased, and get it ready to go. And that is the tail end of the story. It will help an awful lot of people who right now are a little bit challenged in getting quality nutrition.
Fred, thanks so much. I mean, as a member of Lumber to Sunrise, I'm very proud of this project, but I'm even more proud of all the Rotary clubs that partnered with our club to make this happen. And we got a lot of OPM. What's OPM? Other people's money. So
yes.
We got other organizations involved. They supported us financially, but also we're hoping, of course, that we can look at other partnerships and possibly find new members of our club from these new connections. So yes. Fred, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce somebody who you want to be your friend, because she really knows everything about the grant management module for on DAC-DB. So please welcome our district grants manager from the Rotary Club of Chico. Oh, there we go. Danny Schwartz. Morning, Danny.
Good morning. Give me 1 second. Just got a new computer and I did not apparently set it all up for screen sharing correctly. Shoot. Okay, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I just got a new computer, which was not the best idea to do right before a conference. So as mentioned, I am Danny Schwartz. I'm your grant manager. I'm from the Chico Noon Rotary Club, and I'm here to help you guys utilize DAC-DB for your grants. Okay, so here we go. Now, for those of you who have gone to DAC-DB before, this screen probably will look familiar. For those of you who haven't, this is what you're looking at. This is what your screen should look like. DACDB.com is the very first thing that you should do when trying to start a grant. If you have never used DAC-DB before, there's not a lot I can do to help you, but contact Jerry. Here's his contact information. It will all be available. My PowerPoint will be available for you guys. So if I go too fast or you miss something, because there is a lot of technical stuff coming up, it will be all ready for you. So once you log into DAC-DB, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to click on the district tab. Once you click on the district tab, this dashboard right here is going to look a little different to everyone, mainly because it's a drag and drop thing. If you do not see the district grants button anywhere in the area, it's very simple. Sorry, you want to click on the district grants button. If you don't see that, the next step is you basically want to go to Club Grants View. Oh, I think I skipped a step. You want to go in the top right corner to the gears button, and then you want to go right here to grants, and you want to drag and drop it. Once again, you can do this simply by clicking on the gear in the top right corner where you see my arrow right here, and then you will have a button that goes, sorry, my slides are moving around, my apologies. So you basically drag this grant right here, and then you can move it up. You click set my configuration. Once you select my configuration, it should be there. And once again, once it's there, you'll see the district grants button right here. However, it might be in a different position. So if it's someplace else, you just need to look. But once you go through this process, it will definitely be there. As you can see, it might be third, it might be somewhere else. That is the #1 way to make sure it's there. I get a lot of questions from people saying it's not there. It is usually there. You just need to set it up correctly. Once you do that, you go to Club Grants View. Again, you're going to be on the district tab right here. On the left side corner, you want to select Club Grants View. Once you do that, you'll start the district grant. And that happens right here. When you, in the top right corner, it says new club grant request. You click there to create a grant. You want to make sure you are in the correct year before you are starting the grant, because quite often people get tripped up by this. You can see the change org year right under the new club grant request button, and simply change that. Once you change that, a button will pop up that basically looks like this. You can select the drop-down menu, make sure you're in the right year, change org year, and then you will be good to go. Okay, if this pops up and you try to submit a grant request, start a new one, you might see a message like this. It's no problem. All it means is that you need to set up club signatures. And I don't necessarily, you need to set up club signatures. Your current club president needs to select club signatures. Every year, almost without fail, you'll probably hear this multiple times. All clubs have issues with this. Please encourage your presidents to add authorized signers so that when this time to sign up for the grant comes up, you're not held back because of it. I don't know about your club president, but my club presidents are often busy. So if you call up your club president the day a grant is due and expect them to be able to do that, it's a very big ask. And that's where a lot of clubs run into difficulties. So there's no reason you cannot get this started right now. So this is one of the biggest issues. And the earlier you start this process, the less barrier to entry and working on your grant that you will have. All clubs must have 2 club signatures in order to create a grant. The president-elect, sorry, I put president-elect, but I actually meant president-elect and the lead grant chair. The reason it is really important to have someone on the leadership team have access to it is because you want the incoming president, the president who is going to be running the club when the grant is being executed. You want them to have an understanding on what's happening. And the reason the lead grant chair, or if your committee doesn't have a chair, the person who is mostly responsible for submitting the grant, is the reason that person is a signer is because they have a lot of they have their hand in everything. What we've seen with difficulties in the past is if it's someone that's signing the club grant and they're not working on the grant, there's a lot of issues. So having the president-elect and having the lead grant chair as the 2 authorized signers is really important. And it's one of the reasons those 2 people need to sign off on it. So to clarify, the current president is the one who needs to set up the signatures, but the president-elect is the one responsible for being one of the signees for the grant. This is a slight change from previous years, and this will help ensure that presidents will be active presidents during the time of the grant. And this also helps ensure that someone who's engaged with the process of the grant is signing off on it. Club signatures must be set up by the president, as I've mentioned. They should be the only ones in your club with access to assigning signatures. This isn't something I can change. So if you reach out to me asking if I can assign you as a signer, I cannot. It's up to your club president to do that. On the left side, under grant navigation, there's an admin tab. Sorry, my slides are moving. On the left side, under grant navigation, there is an admin tab. Under the admin tab is the club signatures tab right here. If you don't see admin, you don't have the right access to add club signatures. So don't freak out if you don't see it. You need to reach out to your club president. To select the club signature, the president must scroll through the membership list and select 2 people they authorize for the grant. As I mentioned, this should be president-elect and the grant chairperson. If you don't have a grant chairperson, it could be whomever is the technical lead. And these should all be people from the lead club. Use the arrow buttons in the middle to move a person to the right side, authorize signers, or to the left side if you accidentally added someone who you didn't want to be an authorized signer. Once your club president has added the right people to the club signatures tab, they must remember to click save in the top right corner. If you do not click save, you will not have authorized users or signers. It's a key thing to remember as you work on your grant in general. Please always click save. If you are not added for club signature, you will not be able to submit the grant. It's important that whoever is working on the grant is a club signer so they can submit the documentation. And when I say working on the grant, I don't mean everyone who has their hand in it. I mean the person who will be on the computer using DACDB to submit it. And we get a lot of questions on if there's a paper form that you can use. No, there is not. Everything has to be in DACDB. Lots of clubs use Microsoft Word or grants to get it all written out and finalized with their team, but the way that it is entered will be in DACDB, and that should be the one person, the lead, who should be a signer. There only need to be 2 authorized signers, as I have mentioned, and you're probably wondering why I keep repeating it. It's because every year I get questions on if there can be more than 2 authorized signers. Only authorized signers can complete the form. The more signers that there are, it can create so much confusion and make it much more difficult to manage the application process, and therefore everything that might get impacted, including the grant approval process. And if you do not think the committees are looking at your signers and if it was submitted on time, you're wrong. They are. This is an important piece to keep in mind. Club signatures are based on year-to-date access. So if you're working on this year's club grant, but someone asks you to edit a previous year or submit paperwork, you won't have access to it. Access to it belongs to previous club signers. The online grant looks very similar to the previous paper version. If you've been working on this for a few years, you might not know what I'm talking about, but just fill in the blanks in each section. You can see again, click the save button in the top right corner. Once you saved, you or another grant writer can go back in the application and continue to work on it. Again, you must click save. Any club that is part of this grant, whether financially or manpower, must be listed on the clubs involved page. To eliminate confusion, clubs involved is not the same as having access to the grant. However, you must include all clubs that will be involved in the club process here. It functions similar to club signatures. You just scroll down and select the club. You use the arrows in the middle to add them to the right side or to the left if you accidentally added the wrong club. Again, do not forget to click save. Any club that's part of this grant, whether financially or this is similar to clubs involved contacts. Again, contacts is not the same thing as signers. This is just people that will be involved in receiving emails and updates regarding this grant. So this would be the place that you would want to put anyone who is related to the grant, but not as a signer. This is just for people to receive information about the grant. If they're not listed here, they will not be given information about the grant from the DACDB system or even from the committees. So once you select the application, at the very top right, up pops your application. So please remember to fill out everything in the application process. One of the things that you will see here is club qualifications, and you want to use the club qualifications to ensure you have met, completed, done everything correctly. These 6 questions are here to help you remember what needs to be done before submitting a grant. If these are answered yes, but they are not completed, the grant will automatically be rejected. I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties right now. Okay, club qualifications. Again, fill in all the areas of the grant application completely and then click save. You can save your work at any time and not lose any of your data. Once it's saved, any other club grant writer can go into the module and continue filling in the information. Again, people working on the grant are not the same as signers. Just because you have access to fill in the application doesn't mean you have access to sign it. Once it's saved, you can all work on it together in a Google or Word document. I kind of mentioned that earlier. I think I'm skipping around slides, but please understand that once the application online, it's HTML. So your copy and paste, if you're copying from a Word document, might cause more work. So in my experience, it has been better for people to work directly in DACDB. From a technical standpoint, it's easier to plug everything online in the application section. Keep in mind that the Grants Review Committee will not be reviewing the grant until you click on the submit button. So you can continue to make changes in the updates without the committee having seen your work while it's in progress. Saving it is not submitting it. After application has been saved, 2 more tabs will appear. You will not see these tabs until after your application has been saved. The budget and the documents. You can see them right here, budget, documents. Under budget, under income, you will enter the DDF requested amount as well as other sources of income. Amounts from each individual club or one lump sum from just your club. Each amount gets entered separately. Reminder that income from other sources must equal, I think, 50 cents for every dollar of requested DDF funds. Under expense items, each individual expense gets listed here. This is just estimated for now. After the grant is complete, come back in and adjust to exact spend amounts. The Documents tab is where you will upload all invoices, receipts, bank statements, and the MOU. In addition to this, all pictures can be uploaded here. Anything that is a JPEG will automatically populate in the interim and final reports. As you can see, the application automatically comes up in this section as well. And again, you are going to want to make sure that you save everything. Once all the budget information has been updated and preliminary documents have been uploaded, including the MOU, you're now ready to collect club signatures. Again, we are required 2 signatures, so this will be done twice. You click on the club signatures, and I'm a little unsure about this. There used to be an auto-generated email that would go to both signees on the grant. I'm not 100% sure if DACDB is still doing this and working on looking into that. So I would not assume that the signers are going to get an automatic email telling them it's time to sign. If I were you, I would recommend once you click Club Collects Grant Signatures, you send an email to whomever is going to be signing this grant and say, our grant is ready for you to sign it. They can then go into DACDB and sign the grant. It should tell them to go into the grant and sign it, but I'm not positive. So the signees will have to go into grants, club grants, open the grant application as we just previously did. And on their screen, there will be a button like this that says Club Sign Grant Application. Both signees are required to do this. Do not, it's really, really important that you communicate to both signees not to submit it after signing it. Lots of clubs have one signer sign it and submit it, not realizing that both people need to sign before submitting it. If that happens, you will basically need to revert back to draft and then submit the process and the signing stuff all over again. You will see that after the club signatures have been added, activity log and signatures pop up. The activity log shows a timeline of what has occurred in this application each time a change has been made and who has made the change. So we can see on our end, also on your end, when someone signs it and submits it before the second signature. So it's really important for you to pay attention, because if you're not paying attention and that your grant comes around and we see that there has been no one actively trying to get that second signature or revert it back to draft, your club might be penalized for that. So I just make sure that both signers sign it before submitting it. The signature tab shows who the 2 signees are and who has actually signed the application. This way, if the grant writer is unsure who still needs to sign it, they can go here and find out. Once all the budget information has been entered and you're now ready to collect club signatures. So you can see that we just did this. This is what it looks like on the signature tab after. It will look just like this. So as you can see, there is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Everyone will see what process you're in. Here is what it looks like when both signatures are completed. Once district approves your grant, 2 more tabs will appear: interim and final reports. This is where you will fill out the reports either midway through or after the project is complete. You follow the top tabs to collect signatures once again in the same exact process for your interim and final reports. Now, this is the interim and final reports is not necessarily my specialty, it's John's, but the following is a description of the process. This will all be laid out for you. If you need more assistance, DACDB also includes a PDF document on DACDB and a video that exists to walk you through step by step. In DACDB, you click on the district grants icon, access club grants view. Again, you click on the change or year button and select the year the grant was initiated. You will see a pencil icon at the top right of the grant. You click on the pencil to access the grant application. Very similar to all of the process we just went through. You open the interim or final report tab, depending on what you're working on, and you complete the report and upload the required documents. You collect the signatures and submit the report for district approval. Then you send an email to John Martin to let him know that the report has been submitted. The interim report must be approved by the district before you can your final report can be filled. So if you have not submitted an interim report and it has not been approved, you will not be able to go in and submit a final report. So we get a lot of frequently asked questions, as you might imagine. So some of these might be things I already repeated and some of them might not, but I want to go over them for you in case there was any misunderstanding or I didn't cover it. So how do you get an electric signature? Once all the budget information has been edited and preliminary documents have been uploaded into the MOU, you're now ready to collect club signatures, not before this. We require 2 signatures, so this will be done twice. Click on club signatures, and as I mentioned, I think an auto-generated email goes out, but I'm not 100% sure. And then you're ready for the signers to come in, the signees. Why can't you see the signatures? If you can't see the signatures or the signature tab or the submission, it's because you're not an official signer and do not have proper access. You need to chat with your club president to make you a signer. Only a signer can see the signature tab. How do you know if your application got submitted? You will get locked out, and in DACDB, it will tell you it's submitted. You should also get an email notification, but again, the DACDB system doesn't always, you can't always count on it. So how do multiple people work on and edit the grant? The short answer is you can't all be working on it and editing it at the same time. Ideally, it will have one person responsible for the application, and any other work should be done outside of the software. Some people work on it in Google Documents or Word, then copy and paste it. But again, as I mentioned, this does create formatting issues. The best scenario is to work on it in the application section and have others go in and edit it after it's in there as a draft. Why did your signature disappear? This often happens when someone's working on an application and changes it back to draft and doesn't realize it and doesn't resubmit it and doesn't recollect signatures. Any edits and changes made to an application has to be resubmitted, and that includes asking for signatures. So if you're doing one little change, you still have to go back and resubmit and recollect signatures. Lots of people wonder, what happens if you submit application without signatures? Now what? If you submit an application without signatures, your app will get locked and you cannot unlock it to get signatures. So please don't submit it until the application has been signed. What happens if you have problems filling out your application? There are multiple resources of information to guide you through the grant application process, and all of this will be in line for you as I will be available for you. It looks like I have a typo. I do know that this is District 5160. We do have it located on our website under the Foundation tab. The video is several years old and the grant preparation process is similar today as it was then. But again, this PowerPoint will also be available, so you can also refer back to it, and the screenshots that I've used are updated. The District 5160 webpage has a section under the Foundation tab for Foundation Day. You will find a PowerPoint PowerPoint presentation called How to Use DAC-DB for Grants, and this provides screenshots of relevant parts of the district grant application. If you went on it right now, it has my presentation from last year. I have updated it to be even more thorough, so this will be updated soon and will be in the same place. The club grants page in DAC-DB includes a help section. There's a video titled Submitting a Club Grant Application and PDF titled Club Documentation. These two resources should answer any questions you might have. Also, if you scroll down, there's also a stewardship button on that page, and that also has links to different pages. So again, submitting a club grant, I think this might have accidentally snuck in here. Sorry, guys, this looks like Arnie's slide. Do we have to go through the signature collection and district approval process in both the pre-submittal and the final grant application stages? Absolutely, yes. Both the pre-submittal due in May and the final application due in June need to have signatures collected and be submitted to the district for approval. Do not wait until the last minute and make sure the authorized signers are available. Don't let your grant be rejected because you didn't comply with signature and submission requirements. It's an easy thing to do, and especially if you're having struggles, the earlier you start, the easier it will be. And yeah, I just recommend getting a head start on that. Start early. Here's some tips and tricks. Start early. Form a committee if your club doesn't already have one to develop grant ideas that take to your club. Designate a lead person to manage the grant and prepare the application. You will find the process much easier if there is a single point of contact. Read the training materials, the questions and supporting information on the application and the emails and other communications sent by the district grant team. I cannot tell you how many times the same questions get asked over and over again, and most of it is able to be directed if you had read your emails either from myself or from communications team or from the grant team. There's a lot of opportunity, and I just highly recommend that you take a look and understand it before reaching out to me or to Arnie or the right person. If it's available for you, please look at your resources and then reach out to us. Again, I've mentioned this a few times, but really hit the save button often. It's never going to hurt you. Remember, any work not saved at the end of the work session will be lost. So better to save it too often than not enough. Don't wait until the last minute to enter your club foundation goals in Rotary Central or to submit a club MOU with all of the requested information complete. You may consider these items to be bothersome administrative tasks. I'm not saying they're not, but they're Rotary International requirements that must be completed in order for your grant application to be considered. So it's a good rule. If there are tedious things you don't like to do them at the beginning, get them out of the way, save the fun stuff and serving other stuff for the end, but just make sure to get these essentials crossed off so that you're not worrying about it at the last minute. I get a lot of emails at the 11th hour, 11 p.m. night of the grants. There's no guarantee I'm going to be available at 11 p.m. the night before the grants due. So I encourage you to work on things that might prevent your grant from being submitted as soon as possible. The district grant application timeline. Again, these will all be available. Draft submission is due on May 24th, 2023. Feedback provided in early June. Final submission, June 1st to June 24th. The grant review panel meets mid-July. If it's been a few years, you'll notice that last year we did change the draft submission date because we found having it on Memorial Day weekend caused too many conflicts. So hopefully this will help everybody. Do you have questions? Do you need help? For grant questions pertaining to the grant itself, Arnie is your guy. Here's his contact information. For technical questions, that's me. I'm your person. You can call, text, email. Typically emails and texts get the fastest responses. They're usually the easiest, but I will call you back. I'm a millennial though, so what can I say? I love an email and a text, and I will likely get back to you much quicker, but give me a call and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And good luck on your grant presentation. I'm really excited and I can't wait to work with you. And I think now is time to introduce Jack Worthington in Danville's Sycamore Valley I Can Bike.
Thank you, Danny. Jack, are you able to unmute?
I have unmuted. Thank
Perfect.
you. Good morning, all. Thanks for the opportunity to present the I Can Bike grant project. Close your eyes and think for a moment. It won't take long. Remember that experience you had first riding a bike, a two-wheel bike, independently. Without a guide, without training wheels, without somebody perhaps yelling in your ears, pedal faster, look ahead, don't fall. Well, that gave something of a birth to this project, which is called the I Can Shine Bike Camp, in which we, the Danville Sycamore Valley Rotary, took the lead to work with the Down Syndrome Connection of the Bay Area to provide the opportunity for 40 developmentally challenged individuals to learn how to ride a bike independently. We submitted a grant jointly sponsored by 3 other clubs in the area. And the total grant, actually the total project came in at near $40,000, $30,000, I'm sorry, of which $15,000 was from district grant funds. Another $6,000 was for match funds from the various clubs. And then another near $8,000, $9,000 was raised through user fees and other grant monies. The idea basically is that we worked with an organization called I Can Shine, which is a national organization who had already developed a program, has the special equipment to, actually they trained over 30,000 in developmentally disabled people to ride a bike independently. And that. In the course of putting this project together, and that we enlisted over 125 volunteers, 40 campers benefited from it. They were in a 5-day camp, 75 minutes a day, learning how to transition from riding a bike with some guidance from the volunteers and a special piece of equipment, as you can see in the slide, to moving outside and riding completely independently. The success rate, 90%. 90% of the people who participated in that program for the full 5 days had achieved the ability to ride independently. I don't know, do we have that slide together, or is...
We do. I have the 3 videos. Do you want me to do the 3?
Yeah, you just go ahead and switch ahead.
Okay.
You see fit. It works for me.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I have 3 different videos of the 3 different levels. So we'll do the first one and then you can talk about it.
Yeah, this is just an
Oh, wait,
example.
let's go back.
Start in
Hold
the
on.
gym,
That is
and
not
that,
the one I meant.
and
to put on.
you have assistants helping you, and then you move. This is the gym. This is the special equipment, and that you can see the special roller wheel on the far left side to assist the person to ride independently. And then eventually, as you can see to the right side, is they graduate to riding outside by day number 3. The benefits are clearly improved physical and mental health for the individuals, building of self-confidence and independence. And perhaps for the volunteer standpoint, a quote really says it all, one testimony. This is what a volunteer had to say. I had a great time and am so happy I positively made an impact on one person's life. The added benefits of this particular project included participation by the other clubs, partnerships, support from our district. Suzanne and Claire both came out and not only cheerleaded, but participated in the camp. It was a 5-day camp. The additional benefits is we gained media attention in the local news, And also, it led to sustainability, which was interesting. Is one of the participants stepped forward and has made a donation of $15,000 towards this coming year's I Can Bike program. So there was sustainability that we never anticipated. What I can say about the grant application process, it's a fair process. As much as right now, if you're a newbie like it can be confusing and overwhelming. In truth, it allows you or enables you to gain clarity as to what's the purpose of the project, what are your goals. It helps you to identify options. It helps you to collaborate with other clubs and look at other resources. It promotes partnership. It requires financial discipline. Look at your resources and be accountable for those resources. And my experience with the grant application process, it was a positive one all the way along. I felt very supported by every member of the grant management team towards making this happen. And I will, in the chat room, I will put information in there where if you want to follow up further on learning more, there is a link that will give you a video of the full project, as well as a link to I Can Shine, which is the national organization that they not only provide bike training, but they also have swim and dance now. Any questions?
Thanks, Jack. I'm going to show the one more video that kind of shows
Go
the
for it.
finale of
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, it's short and sweet, but
It says it all.
thank you so much, Jack. And I'll turn it over to Mark.
Here's Mark. Thanks, Mark.
Jack, thanks
Heather.
again. That's another project. It's just it's heartwarming. It's inspiring. It's showing Rotarians really at work, helping people who just need a helping hand. And I think we all can remember back to that time when we took off the training wheels, so to speak. Well, literally took off the training wheels, and and gained that real sense of independence. So terrific project. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our District Foundation Stewardship Chair from the Rotary Club of Woodland Sunrise. Please welcome John Martin.
Thank you, Mark. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so my part of this is talking about getting you qualified to submit your grant and to actually report on your grants. So the first thing to get qualified is we need a memorandum of understanding signed by the president for the 2023-24 year and the 24-25 years. So we've mentioned this before. You're going to start this application when you have a president for the 22-23 year. But what we're interested in is the people that will be in control of the funds during the 2-year period of the grant or multiple year period of a global grant. So the MOU needs to be signed by those presidents and president-elects. So as you complete the grant application, preliminary and submit the final one, it's the president-elect and the president-elect nominee who need to sign the memorandum of understanding that gets loaded into the DAC-DB module. You need to be current on your dues with District 5160, have submitted all your tax returns and be current on your reports. I can guarantee you, if you haven't paid your dues, your president, your treasurer, and your secretary have heard from the district long before you're starting to apply on this grant. So that shouldn't be an issue. District and global grants, I'm the one that will be reaching out to clubs. And ultimately, when we meet in July, If you have an outstanding report and I've been contacting you to get it finished and it isn't finished or you haven't replied to me, that will be a disqualifying event from you being able to get your 2023-2024 grant approved. One member of your club must have attended the grant management training today. We will have a list of who attended, so you can go and see if your club is qualified. We'll put that up on the district website under the foundation tab. This is the only time we offer this. If somebody didn't apply or didn't attend today's training exercise, I'm sorry, but your club does not qualify and would not be able to submit either a district or global grant application for 23-2024. Once you get qualified, how long is that good for? Well, it's 1 year. So every year, your club has to re-qualify if it wants to submit district or global grants by attending this training and also by the other requirements that we've talked about. Remember, the club is responsible for all grant funds. Disclose conflict of interest in your grant application. That's not a fatal item. We need to know about it to see if it needs to be worked around or if it's something we can work with. A common question comes up is, can we do business with a member of our club on a grant or a fellow Rotarian? Yes, you can. But what we're going to ask you is to have maybe 2 other bids to show that the amount that the Rotarian is going to charge for the grant is reasonable and hopefully towards the lower end, if not the lowest cost for the grant. You can get audited. So if we audit you, you need to cooperate with the audit. Implement what the memorandum of understanding says. It's a contract. It says, I'll do this, 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 and this. We expect you to adhere to what you said that you would do. Again, this has been mentioned multiple times. Get a committee going to manage your grants. Don't just put all of this on your president. I know they're going to sign off on the grant in DAC-DB, but have a committee that works on the grant and does the work for them. Your president is busy enough and doesn't need to be trying to run a global or a district grant on top of everything else they're trying to do in the year as their president. So I highly recommend that you commit to getting a committee to work on this grant and see it through to its end. We fully implement the stewardship practices that we'll go over a little bit later in more detail. New this year, if you're successful and receive a district grant, we will have special training for those people. In that training, we'll get into a lot of details that we don't have time to get into today. Keep records. You're required to keep records of your grant for a 5-year period. Make copies. Have people know where this stuff is. Early on, when I became involved with helping with the district grants, we had a grant where the person that started the grant had moved because of a work transfer, and then the next person on the grant application had died. We asked for information on the grant. Nobody in the club knew where any of this stuff it was. So this day and age, the picture shows a nice binder to keep it in. That's great. That's awesome. But you also can be putting all this stuff online this day and age. And then somebody in the club knows where all of this stuff is. Of course, most of it now is going to be in DAC-DB, but you still should have the originals available if we were to audit your grant. And Danny did a terrific job of showing you how to use the DAC-DB grant module. Again, why am I telling you these dates when everybody else has? Because it's so important. You begin the pre-submittal process beginning May 1 through May 24th. You cannot apply for a district grant without completing the pre-submittal process. Don't think because the final grant isn't due till the end of June, you can start the process in June. If you haven't gone through the pre-submittal process in May, then you will not be qualified to submit a final grant application. Final grant applications are then submitted from June 1 through June 24th. The purpose of all of this is the grant review committee has been working with you to make your grant as complete as it can be so that when they meet in July, there will be none or hopefully no unresolved issues. What we don't want is at the grant review process for people to have to speculate about things that are in your grant. Those should have been fully answered by the time the grant review committee finally acts on selecting who they approve and what amounts in July. Do not ignore their emails. If you do not answer their emails, that's the same as saying that we won't look at your grant come July. If they ask you questions, be sure you respond and make those changes in the draft and they become part of the final application that's made in June. Do not ignore the question about whether you can complete your grant with less funds. We continually have the problem of more requests for money than we have money to give out. We go to that question on the grant application to see how much could you reduce your grant and still successfully complete it. And that's one of the factors we use when we have to reduce the amount that we give on district grants. Global grant applications go throughout the whole year. So they start July 1st, they end June 30th. As Arnie showed you, there's an application form that you submit and tell the district that we're asking for funds to be reserved for a global grant during this period. This is a first come, first serve issue. So it could go that halfway through the year, the global grant funds are all used up. So get with it, start your application early. But if something comes up during your year, you can always start an application, let's say in February. And if the funds are there, you can still work on it and the district would set aside funds for you. The district grant review requests will review, yeah. Once you've asked the district to hold funds for you, then you submit a draft of your grant. The panel will look at, the district grant panel looks at your global grant, also may make recommendations and things to you before you submit it. But the global grant people will also be asking you questions once you submit your grant application. So our district grant panel is out of it more or less once you submit that application to RI. Resources, we put these up on the district grant website. So I believe the Guide to Global Grants may not be available anymore, but the rest of these are all there and can be accessed from the club or from the district website. So you've gotten a grant, you were successful. Now you have to report on your grant. So if you take nothing away from my presentation other than this, the first thing you need to do is open a separate bank account for the funds. It has to be its own separate account. It cannot be your club's account. If you've had old district grants and you kept a bank account open with like $100 balance because the bank has to have something in it or they'll close the account, you can reuse it, but you can only have one grant going through a bank account at a time. Use that separate bank account to distribute the funds from. This is where you're going to deposit all of the funds associated with the district grant or global grant. This is mainly focusing on the district grant. So if you said you're going to raise $22,000, all $22,000 of that district grant money has to go in here, and all of the funds are distributed from that account. Use checks or bank cards so we can track it, see it on the bank statements. We're going to ask you to upload those bank statements into DAC-DB. I also asked you to create a detailed ledger or spreadsheet. If you're just going to write one check, a spreadsheet is fine. If it's a lot of checks and a lot of different categories, then you might, if you have access to a program like QuickBooks, you might want to consider using that to keep track of all the receipts and the disbursements. But ultimately, I'd like to see a spreadsheet that follows your budget. So if you said we'll have like 10 deposits from these people, I would like your spreadsheet to show what you actually got from those people and then what you actually spent and as it relates to the budget for the grant. Timeline for reporting. It's every 12 months. You will be reporting unless you've completed your grant. So on a global grant, these usually will go more than 2 years. So every 12 months, you're going to give them an interim or a progress report. We get a list every quarter from RI telling us who has sorry, my timer's going, who has and hasn't sent in their reports. So remember, you're reporting every 12 months, and once your grant is final, you have to report within 2 months. District is the same 12-month period, except the maximum time your district grant can go is 24 months. If you complete your grant within 1 year, then I'm sorry, whoever, I think it was Jack Frost, I said you only have to submit the final report. I'm wrong. Danny corrected me. In DAC-DB, you will have to load a interim and a final report. It'll be the same report, but you will still have to load both of them into the DAC-DB program. This is what we expect on a district grant to be covered within that final report. And that's the end of what I've got to talk about.